So this here is what I call powered negatives. Well, that's the machine. I'm struggling for a good name. Something I've been working on for a little while. It's been an idea for a few years, but essentially it's motor powered. It's got a VFD and a 3-phase motor. The difference here, a traditional workout, when you go through the range of motion right here at the 90 degrees in a curl, is when you're facing the greatest resistance for the weight. We have the leverage that's working against us. I can lift a whole lot more here, and I can hold a whole lot more here than I can here. And to me, that's an inefficiency in the whole process. What I've done here is I'm using a Raspberry Pi to control this system. Instead of the weight being fixed and you're controlling the speed, with this, I'm controlling it the other way around. The speed is controlled and the weight is basically unlimited. Ronnie Coleman could have a run at the machine and probably struggle a little bit. So when you're working through that process, it is 100% load, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, right? So the whole process the entire time is under as much effort as you want to give. It doesn't have to be 100%, but that's the effective place for it to be. And in the sense of negatives, where, you know, a drop, I don't want to say drop set, you know, doing a negative. So someone's going to help you hold the weight and you're just going to fight it on the way down. This does that without the other person. And it's, again, it's a continual load. So the workout just feels different. And I actually, I picked up some EMG sensors, which seem to be getting common right now. So nothing special there. But I just got this in the mail today, so what I'm hoping to see is the traditional spike that you see on an EMG graph has a lot to do with nothing, nothing, a lot more, nothing, nothing. And, okay. Easy, easy, harder, 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 easy, easy, easy. So it creates that spike of muscle work. And what I'm hoping is this is going to show a much more squared off. You know, as soon as you start, that's going to ramp up and carry across and then down at the end, showing a more constant demand from your muscles to control the weight. All right, just because I don't want to be disingenuous of any sort, the normal curl on the left, I was just using some weight. It's not the exact same weight, so the intensity is going to be different. I put more effort on my machine, just kind of a necessity in the way it functions. So picture the normal curl expanded, but it doesn't get wider, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's the normal curl. The powered negative extend up is, you know, as I'm sliding it up, lifting it from the bottom position up. And you can see the couple little starts and stops as I got it to the position where I wanted to begin. And then the loaded powered negative happens. That initial spike is the setting the load, and then it comes on. And this first spike is as it starts up top and it starts coming down. And you can see it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And then once we pass that 90, it starts climbing back up. So this is the magic of what I'm talking about. And if you look at the point, you know, from this, let me just say this area as opposed to this area. That's what we're really comparing, the difference between what this machine does versus a normal barbell curl. So I hope that helps make things clear. As you can tell, I'm not very rehearsed in this, so we're kind of just shooting from the hip. This is in development. I started, I don't know, The idea has been around in my head for a while. The first model, which is sitting over in that room, totally different design, totally different. Day one that I started progress, I got a winch motor and I controlled the pendant with my toes. Doing the curl maneuver, basic move, just proving the concept and moving things forward. So, kind of balancing on one foot, and I got my big toe trying to hit the up or the down button and control that. The speed was wrong. The power was definitely there. You couldn't overcome it. And it was extremely clunky, but it worked. What I'm finding is smoothing that process out is pretty difficult. And I'm not a great programmer. I can build stuff. I actually cut this tree down, milled this tree myself. 3 years later, here it stands as a totally different project. The nuts and bolts of this machine are a 3-phase motor. A normal single-phase motor is kind of, when you turn it on, it spins, but it's not a very smooth operation. It's kind of notchy. And so all the big industrial, all the fine control stuff goes to 3-phase for a lot of reasons. I have a variable frequency drive, so it takes the wall, 110 volts, that single phase, and it converts it to 3-phase to run that motor. What I get in that is ramp control, speed control, everything can be automated and controlled. The Raspberry Pi has the ability to control the VFD, which controls the motor. I have load cells and limit switches and a few things going on, trying to make a safe, robust prototype that I can actually show to people. What I know though is I'm not actually a super sales guy. So I figure some eyes on may be helpful. Anyways, little computer station. Essentially this Raspberry Pi controls that screen. It also has a touch screen. I'm gonna get a bigger one. Get rid of this, bigger touch screen, probably 10 or 13 inch, just big enough, to where it can sit on the machine and pick what you want. So all right, so you can't really see. I'll move the camera. All right, so right off the bat, we have this, the trigger weight. The way the machine operates is using that load cell as a forward reverse trigger mechanism. Not only does it measure the weight, but it also is the key to starting and stopping operation. So if I say 10 pounds, that means that once I put load on it, if I'm below 10 pounds, it's going to feed out to me. So I can curl to the upper position nice and easy, get ready. So, once my hands come to the top and I stop, the motor quits feeding out, everything stops. And now as I re-engage, that's when it goes into negative because I've taken the weight over that 10 pounds. And, if you're doing a single arm exercise or especially like a deltoid exercise or something, a lower weight is helpful. If you're trying to do squats, 10 pounds is very difficult to stay under, so you would use a higher load. And then I can choose whatever, whichever of the muscle groups I want to work on. If I chose abs or forearms, triceps, whatever. So I'm just going to click none because it doesn't matter right now. You will notice though how they're grayed out. These are exercises I've done in the last 5 days. I'm kind of redoing the whole concept for me. I'm not advocating it for anybody else. I am testing. So in the testing process, I'm doing a lot of working out, but nothing in the 3 sets of 10 reps or whatever. I need to work on the process. How does it work if I'm doing weak-handed versus a strong leg or whatever? So I'm just trying not to burn out one area, and this is kind of a reminder for me. And if it's grayed out, I try to avoid it. After 5 days, it comes back and goes active where it's got the yellow border. And you know, I can still select deltoid front, but because I did that last night, I'm not going to. Right now, just because we're talking about it, I'm gonna hit none. All right, it's gonna load up. There, you can see the HX711, which is, it's underneath the keyboard here. It's just a little circuit board that interprets the load cell. But now we can see current weight is at 1, and if I tug on the handle, you can see it move, right? So it's going up. Notice nothing is happening on the machine. That's broke right now. We'll skip that. So if I hit start, right, you may have noticed it zeroed things out, and now it's at 0.1. If I change handles, it's going to get heavy. So I want this reestablished at 0. That's noise. I'm having a hard time figuring that out. But since we've started, I'm going to go through just a little bit of workout here. Just a little bit of a single curl, and you're going to hear a lot of motor noise, such as life. But I'm going to let go of the handle. It stops, and now I'm going to put a load on it. And that's it. Nice and simple. So I'm going to change the camera angle so you can see that again. Now that you know what the graph is doing, as I put a little bit of pressure, this is like 2 fingers, right? It comes up. I can just get it exactly where I want it. And now I'm going to put over 10 pounds of pressure, and it starts pulling down. So, yeah, I'm skinny, I know. But that's the process, right? So it's repeat, repeat, repeat. And if you notice, I had that, got those red lines. So that's what I curled. That's the max of what I curled, and that's halfway. I essentially, that high is going to move if necessary, and then it's going to come down and down and down and down and down. And over time, in fact, I'll do an example. The feed out, you see the scale is pretty low. The scale changes size when necessary. Hard load. And so I'm going to let that off, and I'm going to repeat. Nice and low. Hard. And then as I get tired, I'm going to get weak, 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 weak. And as soon as that gets down there where it's hovering at that lower line, that's when I know it's time for me to quit. I'm done for. This is, just the very first video. What I want to show is the process of development as I build it, get feedback, ideas from other people that may point out problems that I'm just not aware of. This first exercise, well, this is prototype number 2. The first one is in the other room. But I work out very little. I am not a bodybuilder, as you can tell. I'm a thin little guy. I'm active though. I've always had a 6-pack my entire life. I'm not ashamed of that. Skinny privilege. But the idea for me is efficiency. And that's part in where I like what the Mike Menser, the heavy duty methodology to doing this, to working out, is the results for me are staggering at some point. If this video series works, I have photos of me right before I actually started, well, actually it's after I started kind of working out, but you know, I kind of have some documentary photos, nothing serious. Again, the only time I've ever done more than, let's say, 2 exercises in a row, like, you know, till failure this way and then triceps or whatever, was last night. Prior to this, for the last 6-8 months of development, it's always been, okay, 1 exercise, let me take some notes, write some stuff down, change some code, reiterate, reiterate, reiterate. Again, because I'm not a great coder, as I'm writing this software, discovering how difficult coding can actually be. Yes, I'm using some AI for help, but it is 9 steps forward, 8 steps back. Or maybe 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but it takes you 8 or 10 hours to unscrew what you screwed up. So you can make one little change and that just has such a knock-on effect. Oh, you forgot that this, this, and this, and this all rely on that one thing. The incorrect way I'm doing it, some of the logs to the software to tell me what's happening so I can kind of diagnose what's going wrong. You can change the timing in the log, and that has a knockdown effect onto the other components to where now all of a sudden your limit switches aren't triggering when they should, and you get a machine crash, right? So it's got a linear ball screw, which those are not cheap. 3-phase motor, that's not cheap. VFD, that's not cheap. Literally just in screws and bolts. Nothing else, screws and bolts. There's over 300 bucks in this. So by the time you start adding that other stuff, this is not, it's not a $200 machine. It's definitely going to be way more than that, but I do intend to sell it or, you know, manufacture this item. I'm an idea guy at heart, and I've done development and design for government contractors and other companies. Never part of the electronics side of it, never part of the software design. Just, you know, use CAD, come in and design the parts that go off to manufacture. I had to build the prototypes and stuff, but again, if the prototype involved electronics, someone else was handling that. So I don't know what a good part is from a bad part in, you know, circuit boards. I know if I'm buying it for $1.50 off of Amazon, it's probably not the highest quality part. But since I don't know the difference, I'm working with what I got. And so far the product is, holy shit, different than a regular workout. I'm looking to have ways of actually proving what I'm saying. I don't want baseless claims. I don't want BS that people just don't understand or they just have to trust me. I want to be able to graph it out, show it. And that's, you know, part of the difference with the load cell is if you're putting on 50 pounds to curl because you get here and you struggle and then you can get it. Well, what the hell are you doing here in here? Like if you can move that easy and it's not until here that you're fighting in bad form, and one, that's too heavy and that's too light here and here. So this remedies that situation. And I mean, it's regular workouts, it's drop sets, it's negatives, it's all of the things at one time. And it just comes down to the amount of effort you want to put into it, because it'll take all the effort you can dish out, I promise. And this is one of those where it could be different variations. One, the concept that I'm working on has far-reaching abilities, I believe. So I'm trying to work on it. And this is, I want people to get behind this and kind of understand what I'm trying to accomplish. And I want you to think it's the right thing. But if it's not, tell me. If I'm screwing up, hey, that's stupid. Hey, someone else already tried that in a similar fashion, then I'm going to listen to that. But I haven't seen anything. The electric stuff I've seen is that little bolt-on. It's basically a resistance band sort of thing, but that's like $2,500, and I've never touched one. I've never used one, but that is so vastly different of a concept than what I'm talking about here. And I do have some friends who bodybuild for competition, for show, and they're impressed, but that doesn't mean anything to anybody but me. So I want to document this and show you and let you see what is happening, and to see what kind of reaction and interest there is to the idea. Now, I have no other workout equipment. I have no pull-up bar outside. I do have a set of rings in the garage that I occasionally do some dips on, and that's about it. But I climb trees for a living, so I stay active. I stay somewhat fit, but I'm 160 pounds and 6'5", right? So I'm not threatening to anybody. I'm not huge. I'm not muscle bound. Most of the videos I'm going to be shirtless though, and working out. You're going to see my progress, my development. I do think this is something that changes things. So I hope you like it. I hope you understand what I'm trying to achieve, and I'd love some feedback already. So if you have any questions or suggestions, please comment. Thank you.